Hello friends, good morning. This is Manoj Joshi from WellnessByAllMeans, the live forum. We are having a wonderful discussion today with Chandramouli Ganesan. He's a friend of mine. He has been working in Apple as an analytics lead for over 5 years right now. And he has been a resident of the Bay Area, California, Silicon Valley for over 14 years. And he has been drawn to yoga since 2014. And it's a great opportunity for me to invite him to this healing conversation, which we can discuss about different things. I'll ask him a few questions and he'll ask me a few questions. And whatever that comes out of this, we believe that it will help someone or other. We would like to enlighten this moment with a shared experience of life so far. So welcome, Chandramouli ji. How are you?
Thank you, Manoj. It's nice talking to you.
So tell me briefly about how has been your experience with yoga so far?
Yeah, Manoj, I think I just need to go back in time of 2014, why I started with you. So in 2014, we were, me and my wife, both were going through a rough phase in our life. Lot of things were not going on our way, and we had a lot of personal disturbances. I think luckily my wife found you through Facebook back then, and there was a post that you posted on the Facebook. Through that, she picked up. Then we reached out to you. I think that's kind of completely changed our life. From there on, I think we were very diligent, and me and my wife used to come for this yoga, and we changed our food habits, lifestyle, and everything, which had a tremendous outcome of which we saw a tremendous outcome. With that, we started believing in yoga, and whenever we get a chance, we were trying to do it as much as possible. So that's how our yoga journey started.
Thank you so much, and then thank you so much for being so sincere about it, and then talking about the positive side of yoga. Of course, yoga is not a physical exercise that we all know. It's more about the mind. It's more about building confidence. It's more about how we can gain more hope in our life. That's what yoga is all about, to recreate opportunities for us, to create more possibilities in our life. So whatever problems that we all are stuck with, I think yoga has got the potential to help us out to find a creative solution. So, at your workplace, how do you feel these teachings that yoga gives about different values of yoga? How do you find that is helpful in the Silicon Valley, where knowledge economy is there, and that people have to really be creative, be innovative, be punctual. So all the different human resources, especially the power of our mind, has to be operational. If you don't have a clear mind, if you don't have a power to take a decision, if you don't have a social skill, probably you will not be successful, as you have been treading a path of success in the Silicon Valley with a very upbeat company like Apple Computers. How do you apply some of these things that you have learned from yoga classes in your workplace?
Yeah. So rather than I say I apply, I think being practicing the yoga for a long time, it has created a different kind of personality in you. That's what I would say. Because cautiously always looking at what you are doing is very, very difficult. So I think yoga would indirectly put that habit in your life. So a couple of things are some of the time, being in a professional world, you tend to take things so personal. That means if somebody is disagreeing with your idea, you tend to get angry, and then kind of and then you spoil the whole atmosphere and try to spoil the relationship because it touches your ego. So that's kind of the normal for everyone, I feel. But after I started doing this yoga, I think especially the breathing exercise, I think it has calmed down very much, and it tried to look at the context of the discussion rather than the personal animosities that it stopped generating that. So with that, that's kind of the first success I saw. Then my relationship with people have become a lot different. Then it gives kind of a charming personality to you, because you could easily make friends with people, and you can easily talk to anyone. Because before that, there was a hesitation about whether I can talk to this person, whether I can approach this person, what he could think about me, how can I open the talk. Now I think like when you are open, I think that it liberates the thoughts, so you can easily converse. So that's kind of like the second thing. So I would call this to us like an emotional management that was very much needed. And the third important thing is like when you are working on the modern industry, where like sometimes you are expected to stay for a long day, but in general, like it's very hard for us to push for the whole day. Either you take like a lot of caffeine, or like you do something else to stay awake for a long. But so I did this one, right? Basically, if I have to stay awake, probably what I do is like 5 minutes, I just go and like do like a couple of breathing exercises. It's as simple as that. Like for example, at 10 o'clock, I feel that like I have to stretch for like 3 more hours or like 4 more hours. I have to complete something. Then I just sit and do that for 5 minutes, and it just kind of like energizes you and gives you that range. So that's second thing. And like the kind of like there is kind of like a calmness in your mind, wherein you don't really react to that situation. So which is very much important in terms of handling certain critical things in your workplace. Because like if you too much react to the situation, then I think you will end up into disaster. So I think these are all mainly on the emotional management and improving the productivity. These are all something which I'm seeing. I think I would say like I'm not. It's all because of, it's all the substitute of yoga that I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a great tool that you're trying to give it to our listeners. Basically, like even if people always say that I don't have time to practice yoga, but as you said, and which we teach in our classes, like even if you spend 5 minutes for a deep breathing exercise just before an important event, or just 5 minutes of meditation before you really are facing something very difficult challenge, that 5 minutes also will pay off quite a bit in a very positive way. So that is why we've been teaching in our classes yoga, not just something that you practice on the mat for 1 hour, but how do you manage that 23 hours rest. That is an important aspect. So 1 hour of calibration, 1 hour of tuning the mind, 1 hour of tuning your breath, what you call as a coherence, getting coherent with your personality, getting coherent with your workplace. So all those calibration that needs about 1 hour of time in the morning. If you do that, the whole 23 hours will be very fruitful. That's what exactly is the meaning of what you're saying, is like you take 5 minutes of investment for a breathing exercise or a meditation technique. It can definitely help you to stay calm and build that emotional rapport, build that social skill, so that you have personality development or interpersonal skills, which is well appreciated in the company. And as you said, like this practice of yoga regularly will bring in a personality inside you which is more attracting towards others, which will be more positive. So you almost create a vibe in a very positive way wherever you go. Even if you're in a meeting room, if you have this practice, your aura would be seen by others. I've seen that people manage stress so easily, so effortlessly, just by little practice. Now, also, I know the birth of your first daughter, who is already 4 years old right now, and then you have got a son who is just 1 year old. So how do you manage this work-life balance? Because it's difficult, because right now in the COVID-19 situation, we all are working from home. So how do you manage your work-life balance?
I think again, I should thank to you. I don't know whether you remember when we were in distress in 2014. We asked you a question like, why was it happening to us? Like, whatever we are going through. So yeah. You mentioned that, I think it's all related to the, child, right? So you mentioned that you are going to get a best child in the world. Like when you want to get a best, like you need to wait. And sometimes like you need to go through this to get that best.
Right.
So I feel like, we took it very seriously, that word, and we started believing that every other kid is fantastic, every other kid is best to their parents. But we took that word very sincerely, and whatever she does, to an extent, I think we really appreciate that word, the broader word of like, she's the best to us. So that attitude makes us to handle this, the difficult time now we are going through. Of course, like managing the work and the family is kind of like a challenge. Luckily, I do have like my wife who is completely dedicating herself into this. in managing the kids. But more than ever, I think like few months back, it's very hard for my son to interact with me. He never knew that like I exist, because most of the time that time was very crazy. Like I was completely dwelled into the work. But this COVID has a lot of positive effects too. During the break, I like 12 to 1, I just block it as like a break time. So I go with them and like spend and like lunch with them, and like maybe a snack time, or like whenever this nap time comes in, like I try to nap him for like 15-20 minutes. So these are all the positive changes that and another thing is like you are not commuting, right? So you save the time on the commute in the evenings. So maybe after like 5:30 or 6, probably for a half an hour or like 45 minutes, you spend time with them.
Right.
So I feel like this COVID has kind of like a positive impact in the families. So being close with your kids and like being close with your partner than ever before.
Right, exactly. I think one of the things that I would like to also talk about, like a lot of times, what happens in our life is life happens, and then also when we get married, and suddenly out of accident, like kids get born, right? We don't really plan for it. But if you look at any other thing, like buying a furniture, buying a pet or getting a pet to the house or buying a plant, we do so much of planning. So I guess in your case, like when we had little time to plan for a child, and then talk about that, anticipate about that, pray for that, meditate for that, that of course results in a good children, like because you are anticipating that, like you are preparing for that, you're doing yoga for that, you're doing meditation for that. I think in serendipity, I would say, like if we all take a conscious planning before having a child in our family, that also is a part of yoga, because that is a part of garbha samskar. Like the first education starts before even the birth of a child, and how the parents anticipate, aspire for a wonderful child. So I think that also plays a golden rule of because you create with so much of consciousness a life inside you, and then you nurture that life because it's your responsibility. And then that is also part of the yoga, how you can really inculcate that sense of happiness and joy within your children. And that also may be one of the reasons, like how you're able to bring the balance of work and life in your life. That's great. So I think great questions. Would like to keep it short. And then, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, Manoj, I think like when I tell this story to my friends, like people believe that like I did have a need in the past. That's why like I was doing in yoga. How do I motivate them to see the benefits of it, and not to see that yoga as kind of like going to gym and doing a workout? More than that, it's kind of like how can we make it like a part of life, so that people won't look different, and then practice it and get the benefit of it.
I think yoga has become very popular right now, because yoga has really been popular in America, at least for the last 25-30 years, that I'm seeing a very, very popular concept as a physical exercise. But right now, what I'm seeing, that a lot of young yoga teachers, a lot of teachers from India, a lot of Sadhgurus and a lot of wonderful teachers who have been promoting other aspects of yoga in a very bigger way. So that also has opened up that yoga is not just for physical exercise, but for mental exercise, for emotional balance. So I think people are becoming more and more aware of that. And particularly in this COVID-19 situation, people are also seeing that it's an opportunity to go inside. Like if you can't go outside, you go inside. That's what I always say. So I think the spiritual quotient of the planet is rising up. It's a very transformation time happening. So I think the best way to promote yoga is to bring people, to invite people, because right now all our classes are online. So if everybody can come and join and take an experience of it, just like you found us, and then once you had an experience of talking to me, taking some classes, that created a beautiful attraction for yoga in your life. So likewise, when people have some kind of problems, or even without problems, like just to invite more happiness into life, just to invite more prosperity into life, yoga can definitely help. So the best way is to invite them for some free classes, and then have a free consultation with us for about 30 minutes. That could definitely open up a new channel in their life. Like, wow, I was thinking like yoga is just like that. So all the myths of yoga can be taken out by just having an experience of it. First-hand experience is very important. Every time people come to our yoga classes and meditation classes, I ask them like, hey, how did you feel? Then they will say, oh, it is one of the first experience. that's a great moment for us, because as we grow older and older, slowly the first experience becomes very rare. So if our institute becomes an opportunity for you to experience something for the first time in your life, I think that's a great moment to celebrate. So I think people should be invited to experience a holistic yoga class, experience how it can calm the mind, and then just be curious about like what all things it can open up in your life.
Right. Manoj. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Any other question you have?
I think, Manoji, it's kind of like a request I have. I know after a tiring day, if someone gets charged quickly, can you give them kind of like a quick tidbit for a minute so that they can practice it and then they can energize it, so that after our viewers who are seeing this, those who are not practicing or those who are practicing the yoga continuously can get benefit of it. Maybe just like 1 or 2 minutes exercise after the tiring day so that they can get energized.
Yeah, one of the most important thing is like, particularly when you're going to work, right? I always take it like, because normally one of the tips that I also practice is like, we wear multiple hats in our life. So before we come to home, we might be carrying on the stress from work. So I always take it as an opportunity, maybe in the car itself, when you're driving a place or parking garage, like, or just before you enter to the house, you literally do something like you take out one hat, put it aside and wear another hat. Like you're changing your style. Like, I'm a dad right now, I'm a husband right now, I'm a son right now, I have a family man. I have to be totally dedicated to this life right now. So right now, in a virtual way also, if you can clearly set aside some time, like, hey, I'm entering to this role right now. So you're playing different roles. So when you start playing that role specifically, what you are expecting, automatically a calmness would come in your mind, because the stress will go out. Because stress is always an inertia effect. Like if you are continuously being stressed out throughout the day, probably it will continue when you come home also, or when you change your role. So when you consciously do that, and then take a willingness, like, yes, I am entering into this role right now, and then this role demands some calmness and more happiness and more joy I'm going to spend with my children, with my wife, with my spouse, then obviously, so that's the first point, like to have a willingness to relax. Because unless you choose, unless you decide, unless you make an intent to relax, the relaxation will not happen. That's the first thing. Just have an intent to relax for the rest of your time after you come back from work, and have a sense of gratitude. Like you'll be grateful for the opportunity that you've been given for work, not to take it as a burden, but just take it as a gratitude. Like, wow, I'm so grateful that I've got this opportunity, I've got this job, I've got this family, I've got this life. So having a willingness to relax, having a sense of gratitude, it's all about mental and emotional pain. And after that, maybe you can pick up a glass of cool water, or just a simple few breath, or just go to the garden and spend some time with your plants. Something that you do for 5-10 minutes, but having that intent, having that willingness, having that attitude of gratitude, that itself will set in a new emotion inside you. And after that, you do anything, that will become a part of yoga one day.
Thank you, Manoji. That's kind of like a very good tip.
So good, thank you very much. And I would explore more aspect of your venture, like what you're doing it in India right now, giving back to the motherland, what you're doing it in terms of creating awareness. So I will catch up another day. We'll talk about that, like how the social media is changing, how you're creating an impact by being in the Silicon Valley, how you're giving back, even though we are not physically there, but how you're creating opportunity for others, how you're creating employment for others. So those things we'll consider picking up another day. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, friends. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I call it Healing Conversation with Wellness by All Means live forum. And stay tuned. And if you want to have a conversation like this, and please let us know. And until the time, you are cordially invited to come and practice yoga with us. Thank you very much. Namaste.